I saw the fake documents, the secret transfers, and the lies he told right to their faces. The worst part? I was the one filing the paperwork that made it all possible. My name is Sarah, and for 3 years, I was the administrative assistant at a boutique wealth management firm called Sterling Legacy Partners. It's one of those names designed to make you feel safe, to bring up images of old money and unshakable stability. Our offices were on the top floor of a glass tower, and the air itself felt expensive. It smelled of old leather and lemon polish. But what I remember most is the haunting echo of footsteps in the marble lobby, and the quiet tick-tock of a grandfather clock, marking time on a fortune that was running out. It was a temple built to worship wealth, and in that temple, Alistair Finch was the high priest. But I would soon learn this temple was built on a foundation of lies, a rot that started with a single forged signature. This story is a warning that betrayal doesn't just wound your finances. It can break your body and spirit. If you were in my shoes, watching it all unfold, would you protect the boss you admired or the future of a family you'd grown to care for? When I first started, I honestly idolized him. Mr. Finch wasn't just an advisor, he was a pillar of the community. In his late 50s, always impeccably dressed, he possessed a warm, disarming smile and a way of speaking that was both confident and deeply reassuring. He remembered everyone's name, from the city's biggest CEO to the janitor who cleaned our offices at night. He had this superpower of making you feel like the most important person in the room. He specialized in managing generational wealth, handling the money for the city's richest families, their legacy scrapbooks and silver-framed portraits lining his office walls. He wasn't just their advisor, he was their confidant. He went to their kids' weddings, offering advice that went far beyond stocks and bonds. His clients didn't just trust him. They revered him as the guardian of their family's future. Among his most prized clients were the Harrisons. The Harrison family fortune was a local legend. The patriarch, Robert, had died a decade earlier, leaving his wife, Eleanor, a woman of incredible grace, to preside over the family. I remember her voice on the phone, warm and soft like a cashmere sweater. She once called just to sing happy birthday to me, her voice crackling with sweetness. She'd send homemade oatmeal cookies to the office with handwritten notes on thick cream-colored stationery, thanking me for simply scheduling a call. She spoke of her grandchildren's dreams, medical school, first homes, new businesses, with a pride that was infectious. This fortune was meant to be their bedrock. Alistair Finch was its sole trustee. He'd been Robert Harrison's best friend, promising on his deathbed to watch over his family. It was a sacred promise. What he did with that promise would haunt me forever. My job was to be Mr. Finch's right hand. I managed his schedule and handled the endless river of paperwork. He'd often say, "Sarah, we are not just managing money here. We are managing legacies. We have a profound fiduciary duty. Fiduciary duty, a legal and ethical promise." I must have typed those words 1,000 times, never imagining how he would twist them into a weapon. The Harrisons adored him. Eleanor would call just to chat. Her children treated his advice like gospel. I'd schedule their quarterly reviews, and Mr. Finch would present his beautiful reports, pat Eleanor's hand, and say, "Now, Eleanor, not a thing to worry about. Everything is perfectly on track." and she'd give him that beautiful, trusting smile. I was proud to be a part of it. I had no idea I was helping orchestrate a betrayal that would begin with a single invoice and end with a family in ruins. The first crack in Alistair Finch's perfect facade appeared about a year into my job. It was so small I almost dismissed it. Mr. Finch was preparing for his annual 3-week trip to Europe, this time a chartered yacht to cruise the Greek islands. He handed me a stack of invoices to pay, and tucked between them was one from a luxury travel agency, a €25,000 deposit on the yacht. That wasn't the red flag. The flag was the little note scribbled in the margin, code to H, trust, client relations expense. H Trust. The Harrison Trust. I froze. Why would his personal vacation be billed to a client's trust? It was textbook self-dealing, a fireable, even illegal offense. My heart hammered. It had to be a mistake. I walked to his office, but he was on the phone laughing. Accuse my boss of embezzlement? I was a 24-year-old assistant. I backed away, my mind racing. Who was I to question him? So I did what he asked, but first I made a copy. My hands trembled as I saved a scan to a password-protected folder deep on my personal computer. I named it Grandma's Recipes, my heart pounding with the fear of being discovered. It was my first secret. But that yacht deposit? It was just the first drop in an ocean of theft. A few weeks later, another one. A receipt from a jeweler for a Patek Philippe watch. Over $40,000. The same note. H Trust, management fee adjustment. As I filed it, I thought of my own grandmother, how she'd carefully save buttons in a glass jar and stretch a single Sunday roast into 3 different meals. A hot flush of shame washed over me. I stood at his door again, and again I chickened out, picturing Eleanor's kind face. I filed it and made another copy for my secret folder. Over the next few months, the expenses became a torrent. A down payment on a Mercedes, dues for an exclusive golf club. Each time, I felt sick, knowing I was his silent accomplice. I started having trouble sleeping, my secret folder feeling like a haunted relic on my hard drive, its digital files like whispers of betrayal waiting to scream. That week, I drafted a resignation letter. I called my mom, about to confess everything, but the words wouldn't come out. I just couldn't explain the depth of the wrongness I was witnessing. I deleted the letter and hung up. If I left, who would be watching? My paranoia grew. I'd jump if he walked up behind me, certain he knew. I bought a separate USB drive, hiding the folder there, keeping it in my purse at all times. That signature would change everything. Those small cracks soon spiderwebbed into gaping fissures. Alistair wasn't just skimming anymore, he was getting bolder. Framed on his wall was the Harrison family mission statement, capital preservation above all. Their portfolio was a fortress of blue-chip stocks and stable bonds. One day, he called me in. "Sarah, prep these trade orders. We're reallocating some of the Harrison assets." He was selling off their most stable stocks and funneling the money into high-risk, unregistered private credit funds. It was like trading a brick house for a handful of lottery tickets. "Mr. Finch," I started, my voice shaking. "This seems very different from their usual strategy." He looked up, and for the first time, the warmth in his eyes was completely gone, replaced by the flat, cold calculation of a predator. I handle the strategy, Sarah. That's what a fiduciary does. The word fiduciary now sounded like a threat. Then came the churning. The Harrison account, once quiet, became a blur of excessive trades, each one generating a commission. He also began isolating Eleanor, insisting all communication go through him, a classic tactic of financial abuse. One afternoon, he took a routine form for Eleanor to sign. When he returned, I saw another document stuck to the back, a power of attorney. Eleanor's signature was on it, but it was shaky, the paper itself seeming to tremble, a blot of blue ink bleeding beside her name, as if the pen itself had wept. A chill went down my spine. Had she known what she was signing? Or did he just slip it into a pile of papers, using her absolute trust against her? My grandma's recipes folder was now overflowing, a digital ledger of his sins. The final move was his masterstroke. He created shell companies, then had the Harrison Trust invest millions in them. He was no longer just stealing. He was orchestrating a massive, deliberate fraud. I was watching their entire fortune, meant for graduations, weddings, and new babies, vanish into a black hole. I started dreading the day a tuition payment would bounce and bring the whole rotten structure crashing down. The end came faster than I imagined. The trigger was a phone call on a Tuesday morning. It was Caroline, the youngest Harrison daughter, her voice strained with polite worry. "Hi, Sarah. My daughter's tuition payment was just declined. It must be some clerical error." My blood ran cold. This was it. "Of course, Caroline," I said, my voice hollow. "Let me check with Mr. Finch." I walked to his office. For a split second, I saw a look of pure animal panic in his eyes before the mask of calm slipped back on. "A banking error," he snapped. "I'll sort it out." But I knew the well was dry. Caroline called back 2 hours later, her voice now sharp with adrenaline. "I can't reach Mr. Finch." "Sarah, what is going on?" Before I could answer, she said, "I'm coming down there," and hung up. An hour later, Caroline and her 2 brothers walked into our pristine office. The dam of their trust had burst. They walked straight past my desk and into Mr. Finch's office without knocking. I heard murmurs, then shouting. "Where is the money, Alistair?" Silence. "What have you done with our father's money?" I heard Mr. Finch's smooth, placating voice. "Now, let's all calm down. It's a simple liquidity issue." "Liquidity issue?" Caroline's voice was ice. A chair scraped loudly, tipping over with a crash. "Don't you dare talk to us about liquidity. We just got off the phone with the bank. The account is nearly empty. They said millions have been wired to companies we've never heard of. Companies that a quick search shows are registered to your home address." There was a heavy, damning silence, so thick I could feel it from my desk. Then a sudden violent sound, papers being swept off a desk, a frame shattering. Caroline's brother roared, "You betrayed him! You betrayed our father!" The door flew open. They stormed out, their faces a mask of rage and profound, heartbreaking grief. As Caroline passed my desk, our eyes met, a silent acknowledgement of the horror we both now fully understood. A few minutes later, Alistair Finch walked out. His suit was rumpled, his face pale and small. He seemed to shrink under the fluorescent lights, the charisma gone, evaporated. He was just a thief. He walked right past me without a word, out the main door, and never came back. The firm on top of the world was now just a crime scene. The days that followed were pure chaos. The SEC launched an investigation. Terrified but resolute, I remembered my secret folder. With my hands shaking, I opened my laptop and walked the investigators through every invoice, every fake expense, every wire transfer from Grandma's recipes. An agent looked at me and said my records were the roadmap for their entire case. The final number was staggering: over $57 million stolen. The inheritance meant to last for generations was wiped out. Eleanor, that woman of such incredible grace, suffered a massive stroke when she learned the truth. The shock of the betrayal literally broke her. Her home, once vibrant with laughter, became suffocatingly quiet. Her children later told me she never fully recovered her speech. I spent sleepless nights picturing them holding her hand in a silent hospital room, this once chatty matriarch now communicating only with her eyes, leaving a void of confused hurt at the heart of their family. Alistair Finch was arrested trying to board a private jet to a country with no extradition treaty. This nightmare taught me that trust should never be blind. Scammers thrive on unquestioning faith. Always verify, ask hard questions, and demand transparency. Never sign anything you don't fully understand, and make sure you get account statements directly from the third-party institution holding the money, not just from your advisor. My only regret is that I didn't find the courage to speak up sooner. I was paralyzed by fear, telling myself I was just an assistant. I still see Eleanor's confused eyes in my nightmares, and I'm crushed by the guilt of my silence. If you see something that feels wrong, it probably is. Trust your gut. An advisor's fiduciary duty is supposed to be a sacred bond, but as this story shows, that trust can be horrifically abused. He weaponized the very thing that makes our elders so special: their capacity for deep, unwavering trust. He used Eleanor's politeness, her grace, and her reluctance to question as tools for his theft. I'm telling you this story now, as if we're sitting at my kitchen table, because you must be the ultimate guardian of your own money. Please share this story. The more people who know the warning signs, the pressure to act fast, the lack of clear answers, the investments that sound too good to be true, the more we can protect our loved ones from predators like Alistair Finch. We have to look out for each other to guard our own legacies and those of the people we care about. It leaves you with a difficult question. If trust, the very foundation of our financial world, can be twisted this way, how do we ever truly protect ourselves and the people we love? Watch this next for another jaw-dropping tale of greed, betrayal, and revenge you won't see coming.